Good evening, everyone. Hello everyone and welcome to Gavra Racing's Weekend League Tier 1 here for rounds number 8 and 9 of the season at the Jeddah circuit around Saudi Arabia. What a fantastic event to have for the penultimate rounds of the season. We've got a sprint race and a main race coming up very shortly, and the drivers are just going on to their laps in qualifying at the moment. We're about to have our first lap time set shortly by GRL Viper by the seams of it. But before we go into qualifying, I just want to give everybody an update on the championship standings as we go into this penultimate event. So currently at the top, Ben Roberts is in third place at the moment on 78 points. GRL Viper is second on 107, but the man leading the way in the championship at the moment is Shortbread 224 on 120 points at the moment. Those three are mathematically the only three drivers who can now win the championship, which is why I started with Ben first, then Viper, then the man leading the championship, Shortbread 224. For the other drivers, though, who were involved in the championship, you've got Jolt, who unfortunately isn't able to race tonight. He is fourth in the championship on 64 points, and Umpa225 is fifth on 51, but he has gone missing from these last few races. Unsure where he is, unfortunately, so he might drop out of the top 5. In terms of the Constructors' Championship, it is very close between the top 3 teams. Mercedes still lead the way on 130 points, but Red Bull are second, 8 behind on 122. McLaren are third on 104, with Williams on 87 in fourth position, and Haas are fifth on 66 points. But enough of that. I'm sure that the drivers will be concentrating on getting their laps in at the moment. And Psycho is currently the man on provisional pole position by less than half a tenth of a second from one of our championship protagonists, GRL Viper, there in second position. And as I say that, our championship leader, Shortbread 224, slots in a time for third position on the grid. Ben Roberts there in fourth, Shari in fifth place. Only a tenth behind Ben Roberts, improving on his form last time out when we were racing around Mexico. He finished seventh then. He's in the top 5, early days just yet. Then we've got 2 debutants who I need to talk about who've set lap times. Mr. Mankin is 6th on a 130.2. He is making his debut for tonight in the series, the number 15 on the side of his car there. J&B Surreal is in 7th place, and that guy Sean is 8th, although he has set a lap time on intermediate compound tyres and is still going round on those green tyre-walled shot Pirellis for reasons unknown to me and the rest of the team back at Brackley. But there are a number of drivers who are still yet to set a lap time. One of those is Josh Trekvoss 69420. He's coming around the final corner. See what lap time he sets. That's a good lap from Joss up into the second row of the grid in third position. I've been mentioning about the team that have been improving recently, Ferrari. I've already mentioned Shari. Joss, another one. Last season's runner-up in the Tier 2 league, Joss. He's really making some good steps this season. He had a good result last week. He was 5th. He's had a 4th as well. He's knocking on the door of getting that first podium in Tier 1. Maybe tonight with the sprint and then the feature race afterwards might provide an opportunity for the Ferrari man to get that first podium position in the Tier 1. And I'm sure that Tifosi would be very happy if he was able to do that. A couple of drivers who haven't set a lap time yet. Sachetto 88, he had a bit of an unfortunate time of it last week. Terra Teddy is back in the Alpine. You've got Billy Misu, CT Pat, and GRL Dino, who is still in the pit lane. And in the pre-race chat, Dino was saying he's not really looking forward to this circuit. So a number of drivers have said that they are struggling with this track in terms of how a couple of drivers have been saying they have found it a little bit difficult with this circuit. But what I will say is that, you know, as we saw in the Tier 2 races earlier this evening, a lot can happen throughout this race. Doesn't matter if it's on lap 1, as we saw the pole position man of Italy Toy TA spin out within the first 3-4 seconds of launching his car off the line, to later on with the safety car. This is one of those circuits with its 6.1 kilometre configuration, or 6.2 if you want to round it up. This is one of those circuits that just has the potential at every possible corner for something to go wrong for one of the drivers out there whilst they're setting their lap times, as we come up to the halfway mark of this qualifying session. Particular corners such as the sector 1, in terms of the route through turn 6 all the way to the exit of turn 12, a very long left, right, left to get through. Those are some really perilous corners. If you get a line wrong through there, you can pick up a time penalty in terms of track limits being a problem. Turn 13 at the long left-hand hairpin, that's a particular area of incidents, as we saw in Tier 2 earlier. And then, of course, the very quick left and then right turn 20 through to turn 21. That's a very fast corner. You get onto the curb there, you can easily end up in the tyre barrier. And the final corner as well can be a bit of an issue for some drivers that have been driving around this circuit this evening. At the moment, we're just watching one of the Red Bulls going around the circuit. It's GRL Dino, who we're following at the moment. Let's run on board with the Red Bull driver as he exits turn 27 on this course. He flicks DRS open and will be approaching turn 1 at approximately 205 miles an hour. Has the brake on the right hand side just after the 100 metre marker, clips the apex nicely into this tight turns 1 and 2, runs out onto the exit, no problem there. Then he's got to try and approach this turn 4 as nicely as he can. He's got to get the curb clipped, which he does, as GRL Viper, his teammate, goes provisionally pole. This is this first set of sequences that I was warning drivers about. Got to be very careful not to hit the inside wall or take too much curb, which GRL Dino does fine. Let's have a look at his first sector time as he crosses that timing beam there. It's a 33.3. On the brakes into turn 13, this long left hand, have to be very, very patient on the throttle, which Dino is. He does quite nicely there. Yellow flags for car slowing down behind. A quick right left, usually taken into 6th, maybe even 5th gear, which Dino uses. A little bit wide, couple of hesitations into that right-hander, but nonetheless he's still on a lap, no problem at all. Completely flat through this section, despite it being classified as 3 corners. DRS wide open, hitting 200 miles an hour. Then it's the quick left-right. Has to downshift into 6th gear, runs over the curve a little bit, and he backs out of it. GRL Dino just invalidating his lap there as he went over the exit of turn 21. So Dino won't be going any faster, but his teammate has done on a 28.3. That is a 10th faster than his Aston Martin rival, Psycho, in 2nd, who is going on to a qualifying lap here. Psycho just coming through turn 2. Wow, oh, he's had a little wiggle out of turn 2 and through turn 3. Maximum commitment from Psycho. Really is pushing the car here in 2nd position at the moment, and he spun actually out of turn number 5. He just pushed a bit too hard, unfortunately for him. Billy Misu up in 4th place there. That's a really good effort from the former champion within Gavra Racing, Billy Misu. That's much more like it from the AlphaTauri driver. That's where you want to see the champions fighting near the sharp end of the field. Ben Roberts is in the pits currently. Just looking to see who we're following. It's one of the Mercedes drivers. And that guy, Sean, has spun. So Shortbread currently going through that sequence, and he overtakes his teammate there. Look to see what his sector time is. He is down on his lap by 2 seconds. So Shortbread certainly not going to be improving on this lap. Psycho isn't on a lap at the moment. He had a huge spin out of turn 5. I don't think he actually collected the wall, incredibly. Did Psycho, and I think in fact he's invalidating his lap. He's trying to get back to the pit so he could set one last flying lap time. Joss is coming towards the line now. What's this lap going to be? And that puts him on the 2nd row of the grid. That's a 128.8 for the Ferrari. That would be really positive for him if he can keep that position. A couple of drivers though out on circuit trying to set a lap time. JMB Surreal, one of those drivers. His teammates in the top 5. JMB Surreal, I don't think he's going to improve, and he doesn't. He's going into the pits and he's following Shortbread in as well. Our defending champion, of course. Mr. Mankin is on a lap. Sachetto is in the pits. And Mr. Mankin gets over the curbs. He's invalidating that lap. He's trying to get back to the pits as quickly as he possibly can. But he's in the top 10 on for a point. Don't forget, we've got the sprint race first. So for those who are unsure how the sprint race point scoring works, the top 8 drivers score points respectively 8 through to 1. So 8 for first place, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That 1 point going to the driver who finishes in 8th position. Now the laps around here, I think it's 9 laps around this circuit as Mr. Mankin gets out of the way of one of the Ferraris. Looks like Joss, who is just coming into the pits actually. And then we have the main race afterwards, which is a 50% race. So Billy Misu comes around the final corner to start a flying lap. Shari though, he is on a flying lap at the moment. Nicely done through turn 4. He just got on the power nice and early there. Lights up the tyres a little bit through there. Ooh, just got the line wrong through turn 8, and I think that's an invalidation for Shari. He is a 10-foot, but that will be an invalidation for him, so he'll have to try and save some ERS on the rest of the lap. He'll have time to... He might have time to get round, get back in and get a new set of tyres on if he's lucky. But the top 4 all in the pits at the moment. Billy Misu is on a lap. He's in 5th currently. The yellow helmet of Billy Misu trying to return to glory, trying to get back on the podium this season. He looks comfortable so far on this lap. Nicely done through turn 16 and 17. That was really good. Ben Roberts is not on a lap just yet, but Billy Misu's not far behind him, who is on one. See his second sector time. He's a 10th down at the moment, Billy. Can he make up any time out of this final corner? Pushing 206 miles an hour on the curb, down into 4th gear. It's got a really nice line through there, Billy Misu. Nice exit. Is there going to be any improvements here for the AlphaTauri driver? Can he make up any ground? No, he can't. He stays in 5th position. Ben Roberts is in the pit lane. Will he get wheeled into the pits and back out in time? That is a big question, really. Tara Teddy is out on a lap. His teammate is in the wall and with a broken front wing. So that's CT Pat's qualifying over. Now, Tara Teddy is the man on a flying lap, although I think he just got it all wrong. And he's backed out of it, so he's going to have to try and save that ERS, which is so vital around here. Most other circuits on Formula 1, the ERS usage isn't really... You can get away with having a little moment on one of your laps, backing out of it. But the ERS around here gets fully utilised, pretty much. So if you have 70% ERS available going onto your flying lap, you will use it all before you get to the final corner. And that will cost a lot of straight line speed. The top 4, though, they're all ready to go. They are on their out laps at the moment. Shortbread is the first car who will be setting a lap. He's at the front of that queue. Billy Misu's trying to save some of his ERS. Just looking to see who will be the first driver to set a lap. Well, Tara Teddy is going on to his first flying lap, or final flying lap, I should say. Mr. Mankin just getting the car slowed down. He wants as much room as possible. And he goes out of the final corner as well. So the driver's now getting ready for their lap. Shortbread exits the final corner. This is a big lap in the championship fight. Just wants to keep Viper as close as possible in this sprint race as J&B Surreal ends his qualifying session. That's GRL Dino off the road at the final corner. Not sure what's gone on there. Joss goes on to his flying lap. Psycho has crossed the line. Viper has crossed the line. So they're all on their laps now. And Mr. Mankin has invalidated his lap. So that's game over for him for qualifying. still. 8th place at the moment on debut isn't too bad. I think Terra Teddy is also invalidated. So it'll come down to what Shortbread's doing. He's matched his first sector time. Not too bad so far from him. Psycho, I think, has invalidated his lap time. But he's still pushing on, so maybe that was just a glitch from the game's sector points there. But it's Shortbread who will be coming towards the Sector 2 timing beam. Let's see what his time is in Sector 2. He's down. He's actually, I think he's backed out of this lap. I think it's over for him. So Viper loses one rival in his championship quest. What's his lap time in the second sector? He's up at the moment. Psycho's still pushing on as well. Psycho is absolutely flying. This is a great effort from the Aston Martin driver. Who will get pole position? I'm watching Joss, who's in 4th. He's improving as well. Shortbread's not guaranteed 3rd place at the moment. So Viper will round the final corner. He is improving on this lap. He's shortening as much as the track as he can. And he goes a little bit quicker. It's a 28.3. What about Psycho? Can't improve. Joss will be the only other driver left out on circuit to make any form of impression on that pole position, but he's backed out of it somewhere on the lap. He was up, but he's made a mistake somewhere. And it's GRL Viper who takes pole position for the sprint race here at Saudi Arabia, the Jed Corniche circuit, by just over a 1/10 of a second from Psycho. Shortbread there in 3rd place, Joss in 4th. That's the top 4. Billy Meese, the only other driver getting into the 128. Well, that was an interesting qualifying session. Quite tense. Couple of mistakes creeping in from the drivers in terms of track limits. No crashes from the top 5 as far as I could see, which bodes well for some good competitive action. But Viper takes pole position. Psycho is there in 2nd. Shortbread there within 2/10 in 3rd place. Joss is a couple of attempts back and forth. Billy Meese 5th. Then it's Ben Roberts in 6th place. Last week's winner, of course, at Mexico. Then it's Shari in 7th place. Good qualifying. Probably Shari's best qualifying of the season, in fact, in the Ferrari. That's really positive for him. Mr. Mankin on debut. The Swedish driver is 8th. Terra Teddy 9th. And Geraldino rounds out the top 10. JB Surreal, that guy Sean, and CT Pat 11th, 12th, 13th. Sachetto 88, not setting a lap time. So the drivers will be taking a moment for themselves, getting themselves primed and in the position that they need to be mentally to tackle this 3.8 mile circuit. Very limited opportunities for mistakes to get away with around this circuit. The drivers will be well aware of that. Of course, being in the Middle East, it's very unlikely to rain, so it would be an exceptional surprise to see any form of weather other than dry conditions for this nighttime event. One of only a few tracks on the F1 calendar that does have a nighttime race. But the penultimate rounds of the season about to unfold in front of us here around the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. But less than 15 seconds to go. If you're watching this in the Twitch live chat, do comment who you think will win this race or who you think will get a podium in the sprint. Be fascinating to see what your comments are as part of Gavra Racing. Wonderful community that we have here, but we are seconds away from the lights going out. So it's a Red Bull on the left-hand side of Viper, and it's the Aston Martin of Psycho on the right. Who's going to get the best start? And the race is live from Saudi Arabia. Looks like a really good start from both Psycho and Shortbread. Oh, and Psycho is in the wall. He's lost the front wing. Shortbread's trying to go around the outside. This is for the championship, and Viper just about hangs on to first place, but Shortbread has a lot of momentum on the exit of turn 3. Shortbread's just about going to squeeze his way through. They're still side by side, a little bit of contact between the two at turn 5. Viper's on the inside for turn 6, and Shortbread has to back out of it. That was hard fought between the two. Thanks to that contact, I'm not sure what happened to Psycho, unfortunately, but it's dropped him all the way down into 8th place. Billy Misu's up to 3rd. Mr. Mankin from 8th on the grid is up to 4th. Sharry's 5th. GRL Dino is in 6th place. JMB Surreal 7th. Psycho down in 8th. There's CT Pat in 9th place. Joss is down to 10th. A couple of cars have lost a number of positions so far in his opening couple of corners. Not quite certain what has happened to them. And there's a few that are struggling with front wings, and that's CT Pat who's gone round. Sadly for him. Oh, there's a couple of yellow flags brewing around the place at the moment, but Viper leads the way, and he's got a bit of a margin on Shortbread already. Billy Misu's 3rd, Sharry up in 4th place, Mankin is 5th. He's been overtaken by the Ferrari somewhere whilst I was watching the chaos that was going on behind him. Then it's Dino up to 6th. That's a good start for the 2 Red Bull drivers. So JMB's 7th, Joss down to 8th. I'm not sure what happened to Joss, maybe got caught up in a few problems. He's not pitting though, so it should be fine for his front wing, and that's Psycho round, and it's gone wrong for Psycho already. Here comes Sachetto for a move into 9th place, as Psycho has retired from the race. That's game over for him already. That guy Sean really putting a good defensive shape on Sachetto as he covered the line off turn 4. He's got the inside line, he should be able to hold this into the corner, and he does indeed. Teddy 11. What happened to Ben Roberts as well? He was one who's dropped down a lot of positions. Not quite certain what's gone on there for the McLaren, and he's hit the wall as he goes through the corner. Certainly not ideal. But the man who will be happiest at the moment is Viper, leading the sprint. Be gaining a point on Shortbread as it stands in the championship, but let's be honest, that a point, it's just more of a momentum builder for the next race, which will obviously have the full F1 Championship points available. 25, of course, for a race win, 18 for 2nd. Mr. Mankin is back in front of Sharry, who's also got Dino joining in, so this will be a good fight as Joss goes past JMB Surreal for 7th place. This is the fight for 4th at the moment. Mr. Mankin has had a great start on his debut. Can he hold on? He does have Sharry right with him, and Sharry sweeps around the outside. It's going to come down to who gets the best exit out of turn 27. Both keeping it nice and clean. Mr. Mankin's got a little bit more ERS available to him than Sharry. Dino just watching the 2 of them in front. Side by side, they approach turn 1, neither of them giving up too much room. Mankin breaks a little bit later, again giving each other a lot of racing room. Sharry goes up to 4th. Dino almost hitting the side of the hash there, but he gets away with that. Good racecraft between those 3 to watch, and Joss is just about to join in the fun as well, so we could have a 4-car fight for 4th as Shortbread gets within a 2nd, and crucially DRS active on this lap will just bring him right up to the back of the Red Bull. JMB Surreal there in 8th place. Sachetto's a bit further back, and Roberts has gone past Teddy. And he's got a great exit actually, has Ben Roberts. He's going to move, ooh, is he going to move up to 10th? That guy Sean is holding him off, but around the outside goes the McLaren. This is great racecraft between everybody on circuit at the moment, but Ben Roberts goes up to 10th place. So Sharry cut into the fight at the front. Viper still leads, but that gap is now coming down thanks to the DRS that's been activated by Shortbread, so he's going to stay right there with him. Then the fight for 4th place, so there's a couple of battles going on circuit. Ben Roberts still fighting with Sachetto, but holds on to 9th for the time being. Sharry's getting closed in by Mr. Mankin. Ooh, that was a bit of an awkward shape from the Ferrari, and Joss goes past Dino for place. Joss is a man on a mission. He wants to get back into his 4th position that he qualified in. But here comes the Haas against the Ferrari. Look at the straight line speed of Joss. Wow, look at that. That's impressive from the Ferrari. A little bit of contact between Sharry and Mr. Mankin, and through goes the Ferrari. And is that a virtual safety car? It is. Someone has gone into the wall, or there's some form of damage out. It's CT Pat who's gone into the wall. He's lost his front wing. So Viper still leads the way under virtual safety car conditions. Shortbread is in 2nd. It's a time penalty for Dino. That's a bit clumsy under virtual safety car speeds as well for Dino. He'll be frustrated at that. But as it stands, 4th through to 8th, with 5 cars separated by less than about, I would say, approximately 2 seconds. But Josh is back where he started after losing a couple of positions earlier on lap 1. But still a couple of laps remaining in this sprint race, and Shortbread and Viper will certainly know how much time's left. They'll be eager to get a good restart from the virtual safety car. Just want to be able to time it right, and there we go, we're away again, and Viper has got the jump on Shortbread. He's out of DRS range. As Terra Teddy and that guy Sean go side by side through turn 21. He gets past. Now Josh running in 4th position. He's going to have the threat of the cars behind who've all got DRS. I have to say the straight line speed of that Ferrari is super impressive. Oh, and that is the Mercedes of Sean round at the final corner. Josh shouldn't have any problems having to defend, but Shari will. He's got Dino right behind him in the Red Bull. And that's where the main fight is on circuit at the moment. It's very tense up front between 1st and 2nd, but there's no shaping of a manoeuvre just yet. Dino's lost a bit of time there. I'm not sure what's happened to him in the 1st sector, but he's still within DRS, and that's going to be so vital to hang on to the back of this group. If he loses DRS, which he has done briefly, got back in as he went on the exit of turn 30. He's got to stay in that gap. If he loses it, they'll start pulling away from him, and it's very, very difficult to pull your way back into a DRS-assisted fight. Josh there in 4th place, holding on to that position. He's recovered from the 1st lap melee. And you got Mankin in 5th. He's hanging on well on his debut. This is going well for him. Shari's there in 6th one for a best ever result as it stands. Be a really good haul of points for Ferrari, actually, if Shari can stay there. DRS again all the way down this main straight towards turn 1. I'm watching the straight line speeds, and only now is Mr. Mankin, as he crossed that start line, as in where the grid starts, only as he crossed that did he start closing the gap to Josh. So that Ferrari is especially quick in a straight line. Had Josh not had the start that he had, you could argue if he'd have been able to hang on to the position he'd started off with, he could have been there in the fight for the podium. But nonetheless, that's where he is at the moment. He's just got to concentrate and stay away from the Haas and his teammate. Ben Roberts is closing that gap down to J&B Surreal. It's less than a second now in the McLaren. And Shortbread is back to within a second of Viper for the race lead. And I think for Shortbread, for those that are watching, you might see Shortbread having a few wide moments. He can get away with that because he's within DRS. Viper can't afford to make any mistakes, realistically, because it'll bring Shortbread that whole lot closer to overtaking him. Shortbread can have the odd wobble here and there, and he'll get away with it because DRS is so powerful around this circuit. Josh is almost outside of a second to Mr. Mankin. He's not quite there just yet as Ben Roberts gets past J&B Surreal for 8th position. Shortbread is closing that gap now. It's less than half a second, very close between these two. Have been so evenly matched throughout the year. Really good to watch and commentate on these two. They've been providing a lot of action, and it will be very tense in their respective cockpits. Just looking a little bit further back, Josh is still in 4th position. He's almost broken the DRS to Mankin, and if he does that, it'll allow his teammate a chance to get alongside him for 5th position. 4-5 for Ferrari would be a brilliant result. Certainly would be outscoring McLaren in their championship fight for 5th place. Shortbread again runs a little bit deeper through turn 20. But they're both running well at the front. The class of the field at the moment, they're 6.4 seconds clear of Billy Misu, who's just having a good race for a podium. Just still can't quite break out of that DRS range of Mankin behind. This is the thing that I keep saying, it's so difficult for drivers to pull away at this circuit once you're in DRS range. It's very, very difficult unless you're on different tyre compounds. Everyone on the mediums will be pretty much at the equivalent pace of one another, as Ben Roberts' quest to get back through the fields up to 7th. That might be as high as he ends up. But Shortbread is certainly closing the gap every lap now. Psychological pressure on the pair of them to beat one another will be vital. Not as much potentially in this race, it's only a 1-point swing, regardless of whether they finish first or second, but the next race, the feature race, is so vital. 7 points in Viper's favour brings this to a huge showdown at the final round of the season at Imola. That 7-point swing Shortbread's way might just put him out of reach of the Red Bull. Joss still cannot break the toe. He's trying his damnedest, but he just can't get away. You can see the infographic there on the screen. Viper with 1 win to Shortbread's 3. Both now have 3 pole positions, of course, thanks to Viper getting today's one at Jeddah. But we are approaching the final lap of this race, and it will come down to strategy with the energy system that they both have available to them. They're both using it in somewhat different ways at different parts of the track. Excuse me, apologies for that. Shari's just made a mistake, I think. He's just dropped away from that fight for 5th place, but still 6th for him. That would be another confidence booster. That has been a really solid second half of this season for the Ferrari driver. Terra Teddy and Sachetto have a good fight for 10th place as well. I've noticed them on the radar swapping positions a few times. But this is the final lap of the race. Viper still leads the way. And who is going to be able to take the sprint race here at the Corniche circuit? Nice line from both of them. Oh, wow. Shortbread with a huge moment. And that might just seal the win for Viper for this sprint race. That was a massive moment for the Mercedes. He's going to have DRS of these final corners. He won't be quite close enough, I don't think, to make a move. And sure enough, Viper is now a second clear. So the Red Bull with the number 7 on its side and its front nose cone rounds the final corner. And GRL Viper comes towards the line and he wins the sprint race here at Tier 1. Followed by Shortbread. Billy Misu, this is a really good performance for him. It's a podium in the sprint. Well done to him. 3rd. Joss comes home in 4th, and some pace from Joss gets the 3rd place. Billy Misu is dropping down the order. He's dropping a long way down the order. Oh no, there we go. Sorry, there was a glitch. I was going to say I didn't see a penalty for Billy Misu. Joss is 4th, Mr. Mankin 5th, Shari 6th, Ben Roberts 7th, and GRL Dino is the last of the point scorers in 8th position. I was saying Joss was showing some really good speed there towards the end of the race, and in fact his fastest lap was right there with Billy Misu, so that will be a fascinating fight for the start of the next race. But Viper, that's 1 bullet loaded for the race victory. He's got another one and he needs to try and load up for the second one. But you can guarantee that Shortbread will have something to say about that in the feature race. One of his stronger circuits. Viper saying that this is not potentially one of his stronger circuits, but he's proven he can dance with the Saudi Arabian specialist. As Billy Misu has now rejoined. I think that was what the problem was for Billy Misu, why he dropped off the radar for the points. I think he just lost connection, but he is back in, which is the main thing. Joss getting, of course, driver of the day, and rightfully so after a very good recovery. But in terms of the results, just to confirm them, GRL Viper takes the win from Shortbread. Billy Misu was third with Joss fourth. Mr. Mankin on debut in fifth place, that's a very good performance. Shari sixth, Ben Roberts seventh, Dino in eighth place, then round out the top 10 you had JMB Surreal. Terra Teddy won the battle between himself and Sachetto on circuit. That guy Sean was 12th, the American driver, and CT Pat was the last of the classified finishes. Psycho, what could have been for him? Not sure what happened at that start. He will have something to say about that, no doubt. So I'm going to have a little look in the Discord chat just to see what has gone on there. So, seems like Joss got a bit of a hit at the start. And Psycho was saying he's not actually sure what happened to him during the race, unfortunately. But we are moments away from the feature race. The drivers will be preparing themselves for what will be a challenging 50% race at this 27 corner circuit. Shortbread currently leading the drivers' standings by 12 points from Viper, but we've got a Red Bull on the left and a Mercedes on the right hand side. Who's going to make the best start? And the race is live from Jeddah. It looks like an incredible start from Shortbread, and it is indeed. He gets himself into the lead of the race straight away. Viper is second, Mankin is up to third, another good start for him. Billy Misu's hit the wall, he lost it all by himself, and all of his hard work has been undone from what he'd managed to do earlier in the feature race, sadly. Joss is fourth, JMB Surreal's fifth, we've got Pat going, it's Dino going backwards actually, he's gone round, there's a few cars round actually, Ben Roberts is facing the wrong way, Psycho's round. I'm not sure what's happened to them, but unfortunately, Ben Roberts is missing part of his front wing. Psycho has not got any damage, what I could see in any case. But Shortbread leads the way and they're already pulling a gap on the cars behind. Him and Viper are off and up the road. Mr. Mankin, 1.4 seconds back pretty much at the moment. Joss is fourth, JMB Surreal is fifth. Now Joss and JMB are both on the hard compound tyre, as is Psycho. They're both doing something different as Shari blasts his way past the AlphaTauri and he's up to fifth position. JMB Surreal's going to have his work cut out, trying to get past that Ferrari, which looks very quick in a straight line. Oh, Viper goes past Shortbread for the lead at the final corner on the approach. Viper moves into first place, he goes defensive. Shortbread electing just to stay behind him for the time being. Then it's Mr. Mankin. Joss is in fourth place. Joss has got an incredibly quick car in a straight line. Mr. Mankin will do well to try and fend off the Ferrari. And everybody else is all line astern so far. That's Ben Roberts coming into the pits for a change of front wing. Psycho's carried on. Psycho, of course, on the hard tyres as well, but got caught up in whatever nonsense happened in the first couple of corners through turns 6, 7 and 8. But the front two are already stroking away in terms of their advantage. They're both pushing flat out, of course. They don't want any trouble from the cars behind. This is exclusively their fight at the moment. Ooh, that is Dino round on the exit of turn 12. I don't think he's got any damage, so he should have got away with that. Billy Misu's pitted for a new front wing as well, sadly. Well, that's a frenetic start as Sean goes past CT Pat for 9th. Into the points goes the Haas car. Now I'm watching the fight for 4th at the moment, or rather 3rd place, because the Haas of Mr. Mankin is going to be under some serious pressure from just look at the straight line speed of the Ferrari. Goes to the outside line. Can he get a good drive off the corner? He squeezes Mankin and he's round before we even get to the exit. That Ferrari is so well equipped for any straight line battles. And in fact, he's pulling away from the Haas, even though he's got slipstream. DRS is now enabled, but I don't think there is much that the Haas car can do against that speed. It's incredibly quick. Even though they're on different tyres. Dino goes into the pits. Oh, Shari's hit the wall. He's got away with that. Turned a little bit too early at turn 4. Doesn't look like there's any damage on his car. Oh, that's Terra Teddy having a big wobble. So the drivers already are struggling with the circuit. It's a very difficult circuit, especially the first sector, to get it right. It's so tight. And you can pick up time penalties. Terra Teddy, another one, having a big moment there at the moment. So the same thing twice then. But Mr. Mankin on the back of the Ferrari. He's not been dropped by Joss. Don't forget, he's on the medium tyres though. So he'll be able to use that in these early phases of the race. Use the tyre compound, use it to keep on the back of the Ferrari. As Terra Teddy overtakes JMB Surreal for 6th place. But that Ferrari just doesn't seem... It seems nonplussed about the threat of the Haas behind. It's not defending, it's got so much straight line speed, he could just sit where he needs to be. Shari there, despite losing the back end a little bit, he's doing okay. Shortbread setting the fastest lap of the race, so he means business at this point. Mr. Mankin is now only just closing the gap on Joss on the approach to turn 1. Just can't quite get close enough to make an overtake just at the moment. Now, Shortbread has closed that gap down. And he is right there with Viper. Less than a second, he can just sit within the DRS range of the Red Bull in front of him. There's Mr. Mankin, followed by Shari, who are stuck behind Joss at the moment. So I say stuck, but the straight line speed, they can't make any overtakes. But Shari has done well to close that gap. Shari looking very, very competitive today. I always like to give a good mention of drivers who are making improvements, because, you know, the drivers who are always at the front, well done to them. It's fantastic that they are. But you have to give credit where it's due for the drivers who are making those improvements and getting into the big fights. Now, speaking of big fights, Shortbread has got that gap closed right down to Viper. DRS is active. He is right under this rear wing. You can see the Oracle logo on the back of the Red Bull. Now, DRS available. Both drivers using ERS at the moment. Shortbread is closing the gap, but will he look to make a move? I think he's a little bit too far back. And he'll just stay behind the Red Bull for another lap. And he'll wait for his opportunity to strike when he can. Joss has just got himself out of DRS range there of Mr. Mankin. That will help him in the fight later on in this race. So the race settles down a little bit for the time being. Shortbread and Viper, the closest fight on circuit outside of the battle for the wooden spoon between Dino and Billy Meese. No retirement so far, which is good to see. I know there's been a few broken front wings, but it's good that all the drivers are just trying to stay on pace at the moment. One driver who is a little bit further back, but is now closing the gap to the pack in front of him, is Psycho. He's in 11th place, but he is about less than 4 seconds now behind the top 10. He hasn't got damage as far as we can see. And the point score finish would be the minimum of what he's expecting, but don't discount him. He's not too far away from Terra Teddy, who's in 6th place. He's 10 seconds behind, and he'll have the medium compound tyres to run later on, will Psycho. So he's one to factor in, I would say, later. Got a yellow flag in sector 3. That's CT Pat, who's gone round. He's having a few difficulties around this circuit, as Pat. but he's running ahead of a number of other cars at the moment, and that's got to be positive progress for him. Shortbread again, keeping Viper honest. Terra Teddy on his own in 6th place. Then you got the 2 battling Haas cars, not just of Mr. Mankin trying to now fend off Ferrari of Shari, but also Sachetto is fighting for 7th place with J&B Surreal. Some good little battles just establishing themselves on circuit. Now Sachetto, don't forget, on the medium tyres compared to J&B Surreal. Oh, Sachetto just running a little bit deep through that corner. That's going to drop him away from the fight for 7th. But Shari has certainly not dropped away from Mr. Mankin. He is right there in the slipstream. Shari will have DRS available in the fight for 4th. Closing that gap down immensely. DRS open. He's going to go for the outside line, and Shari moves up to 4th. On the brakes, he gets it sorted for turn 20, but Mr. Mankin will be able to fight this one back. He'll have DRS available to him now. The overspeed already starting to work. Which way does Shari go? He goes to the outside line. He brakes a little bit later. Ooh, very close between the two, but they're keeping it clean. Shari will get the better exit. He's in front of Mr. Mankin. So Shari, no doubt, will go to the left-hand side to defend, which he does. Mr. Mankin on their right-hand side. On the approach to turn 1. It's going to be a battle of the late breakers. Shari stops Mankin from going past him, and Shari is up to 4th. He's done what he couldn't do in the sprint race. He's got past that Haas car. And now it'll be a question of whether he can pull away from the debutants, or will Mr. Mankin have a few more performance points left in his pocket to use. Although, having said that, he lost a little bit of time coming through the exit of turn 10 and 11 then. He might just need to recharge in terms of his batteries and mentally, and go for it again with the Ferrari just in front. And Shari is already starting to close that gap down to his teammate, using the medium compounds to make inroads on the hard-shod Joss, who is on for a podium as it stands. Psycho within half a second of that guy, Sean. You get the feeling that a move is going to be on for him in a moment. As Shortbread tries to close that gap down to Viper in front. He's going to have DRS available to him. Shortbread certainly closing that gap down to the Red Bull. Viper now looks to defend. Not close enough to make a move, but it's enough for Viper have to try and cover that line off. Psycho gets his way past that guy, Sean. Oh, Sean tried to get on the power early, but he got it a little bit wrong. And that's Sachetto coming into the pits on the medium tyres. That's quite early. Mr. Mankin and Shari having a huge fight there as well. Lots of action just tipping its way through the circuit at the moment. Sachetto's going onto the hard tyres. So Pat and Ben Roberts will both go past. It's a 3-second time penalty. That's Terra Teddy facing the wrong way. And J&B Surreal gains a place. Psycho will come up to the back of Terra Teddy quite quickly, but he won't be close enough to make a move. I think Terra Teddy lost that all on his own, sadly. But the fight for 4th place rages on. Mr. Mankin trying to get past that Ferrari. These two have been very equally matched today. They were stuck together in a sprint race. They're stuck together at the moment. They're both on the same strategy as well. So it'll come down to who can maybe get the undercut if they decide to pit early, or whether they can handle the hard tyre compound better than their respective rival when they pit later on. Shortbread again getting close to the back of Viper, but he's not quite close enough. Mr. Mankin isn't close enough to Shari for a move into turn 1. I'll tell you who is close enough though. Psycho gets a great exit in the fight for 7th place, and Terra Teddy is actually coming into the pit. So that's another place for the Aston Martin to move into 7th position. Ben Roberts is in the top 10 as well. He's got past CT Pat. And that's a front wing change for Tara Teddy. So Tara Teddy did break his front wing in that accident that he had all by himself. So he will come out of the pits. He'll probably lose a place potentially to Sachetto. And he will do indeed. So that is the Haas up to 11th. Now, Mr. Mankin does have a time penalty. I'm just flicking through the drivers at the moment. He's got 3 seconds worth of time penalties, as does Sachetto. Tara Teddy's got 6. But the fight for the first place position is getting interesting again because Shortbread is a lot closer this time. Nice exit from Shortbread as well. That was a lot better than Viper. He'll have DRS this time. Can the Mercedes go around the outside? DRS use enabled. The Mercedes streaks on past Viper. He shouldn't have any problems into the braking zone. He doesn't. And that is Shortbread into the lead of the race. He sat patiently behind Viper for a number of laps. And that, oh, Viper hits the wall at turn 4. Now, I don't know if that'll have done any damage. I think it looks like it was just surface tyre contact with the wall. And he won't be wanting to do that again. Whilst that overtake was happening, Mr. Mankin is still right behind Shari. And Psycho has now latched onto his next target, which is JMB Surreal, who's running in 6th place at the moment. So let's see, now that the roles are reversed, Viper will be the driver running in the DRS of Shortbread in front of him. Will he be able to decide to make an impression on this lap, or will he try and recharge the battery a little bit? He had an excellent exit out of turn 21. He'd certainly look stronger than Shortbread through there. DRS available to him. He's using all of it at the moment. Ooh, he shaped a little bit for a move, but decided better of it. He's going to get a good exit out of the final corner at 27. But Shortbread equally does well out of that corner. And I don't know if Shortbread is going to be able to, or going to have to defend into turn 1, and he doesn't. So JRL Viper just sits behind for the time being. Shari still in front of Mr. Mankin. Psycho is past JMB Surreal as well for 6th place. He's got a bit of work to do now, though, as the Aston Martin to get up to the back of the 2 medium runners in front of him, which are Mr. Mankin and Shari's 12 seconds back. But he's shown some very good pace tonight, has Psycho, and he'll have the medium tyre later on to use. So let's see how he gets on. Just have a quick breather for a moment. This has been an excellent race to watch so far. Ben Roberts moves himself up into 8th position. Nice move into turn 1 on that guy, Sean. And Ben Roberts trying to make a recovery as well at the moment. Viper again closing the gap down to Shortbread. DRS again. This is going to be a playback book from 2021 when Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton were fighting for that race. They were overlapping, both using DRS to keep themselves in the fight. That is a spin, and I think that's Billy Misu who went round then. He had a little wobble. Shortbread's into the pits, and Viper follows him in. Wow. This will be a battle of the mechanics. Who will get out first? Should, in theory, be Shortbread. And it is indeed. So that puts Joss into the lead of the race in the Ferrari. Mr. Mankin has stayed out. This is important, actually, because Shortbread and Viper are going to come out behind Mr. Mankin. He might decide to do a couple of laps here. That could certainly put a little bit of a spanner in the works for the pair of them. They're both trying to get the hard tyres up to speed. Shari has come out of the pits on his own, actually, so it's a good place to be for Shari. But he needs to get those hard tyres up to speed as quickly as he can, because Mr. Mankin will be pushing, no doubt, flat out. as that guy Sean also pits. So the medium tyre runners are now starting to pit. So Mankin is the only one left. There are still a number of drivers who are yet to pit in this race, but that's because they started on the harder compound. That's Joss, that's Mr. Mankin, Psycho and J&B Surreal, all yet to pit at the moment. In terms of laps, pit time around here, it's quite a short pit stop, and that is an Alpine, or a Haas round actually. It's Cecchetto who's gone round. He's not done any damage by the looks of it, so no safety car to worry about for the drivers. I've got to say, Mr. Mankin, I thought he'd get closed in a lot quicker than what he has done, but he's pulled away from Shortbread. And I'm sure that Shortbread will have got his tyres up to temperature, because he's got Viper right with him. We are going to have a huge fight to the end of this race as Mankin pits. Viper, though, looking to the outside line. This should be straightforward for the Red Bull, and he goes through into second place. He gets back past Shortbread. Whilst that is going on, I'm just watching Mr. Mankin's pit stop because I want to see where he comes out in relation to Shari. It's going to be very close between the two. Mr. Mankin coming down the pit lane now. He's got a break for the corner. I said it was going to be close, but Mr. Mankin's done an excellent job on that in-lap. He's come out nearly 3 seconds clear of the Ferrari. Well done to Mr. Mankin. That's a great effort. So the battle for the net lead rumbles on. Viper, Shortbread, about 10 seconds off the back of Joss at the moment, who is, of course, yet to pit. Billy Misu is also pitted. He's on a soft compound tyre, so Billy probably hoping for a safety car more than anything. At this point in the race, they're both using ERS tactically, both Viper and Shortbread. They're certainly using it, that much is the case. Psycho there in 4th position, yet to pit. JB Surreal, of course, another driver, the only other driver left yet to pit. They've started on the hard compound tyres. And Joss is now coming into the pit lane. He's had enough of the hard tyres. Where will he feed out then in relation to the cars around him he was fighting with? He was 3rd. He's going to go onto the mediums as Viper sets a new fastest lap of the race. But he come out in front of Psycho. Now that is an important fight. He wants to get out in front of the hard tyre Psycho. Unfortunately, I can't quite see where he is on circuit. They're coming out side by side, but Psycho gets out in front and Joss can't beat him out. That'll frustrate Joss a little bit. He'll have wanted to pass the Aston Martin, but he'll need a couple of corners to get his tyres up to temperature, and that'll allow Psycho to pull away. Shortbread, though, just feeding in the power around turn 13, giving himself a couple of laps to get himself in the operating window that he needs to be in as Shari picks up a time penalty. He's right with Mr. Mankin now, is Shari, funnily enough, so they're going to resume their fight shortly. Now, around this circuit, you need about 20 seconds for a pit stop, and currently Psycho is in 3rd. If he were to pit now, he would come out in 9th place. So Psycho is going to want to push those tyres even further. That is another spin. And it's Terra Teddy who's retired from the session. And he's left. I don't think he's hit the wall, though. Just looking to see. No, he hasn't. His car's continued on, so no safety car. And Shortbread is right in a slipstream of Viper. Here we go, then. Viper defending to the inside line. But he doesn't have the straight line speed, Shortbread, to get past him. So he stays in 2nd place for the time being. Joss is right within half a second of Psycho. Shari is past Mr. Mankin for 6th place. Oh, Shari almost hitting the wall on the exit of turn 2. That was a bit of a rogue slide. You feel that an overtake is going to happen between Viper and Shortbread, but the question is how many are they then going to have after that for the race victory? It is looking like it's a fight between these two unless Joss can show some incredible pace and Viper and Shortbread start fighting hard, or maybe even a safety car. which I'm sure that neither of those two will want. But Shortbread's closing that gap. Viper's so confident through turn 20 when he gets the car turned in. But as I said before, it doesn't matter for Shortbread if he loses half a tenth or a tenth there through that corner, because he just closes right the way back up with DRS. And he's now in a chance of the overtake for the lead. He's going to have DRS again as Josh goes past Psycho for third. He's closing that gap to the Red Bull once again. He's having a little look as Shortbread, but he won't be close enough for a dive up the inside. And Psycho bails into the pits, so he's going to come out a couple of seconds behind Ben Roberts, who will still need to pit. JMB Surreal also pits as well, so that's a stop for position, and JMB pits Surreal picks up a time penalty as that went on. Meanwhile, the other fight, the big fight that's going on in this circuit, not just for the race leaders, between Shari and Mr. Mankin. They are absolutely toing and froing in this race. It's been wonderful to watch. Mankin just can't get his way back past the Ferrari. They both have the same time penalty. Oh, actually, they don't. Mr. Mankin's picked up another one in the meantime. So Shari has 3 seconds to Mankin's 6. I'm sure that Shari will want to finish in front. And what a story this would be for Shari if he could finish in the top 5. It'd be his first top 5 in Gavra. Be something to talk about. Watching the gaps elsewhere on circuit. Nino quite close behind Sachetto for 9th place, but they're not really in an overtaking place at the moment. So we watch Mr. Mankin again behind the Ferrari. Will he be able to close that gap down? He is doing at the moment. Will he be able to make a move into turn 1? That remains the biggest question. Those Ferraris have looked very quick this evening in the straights. DRS available again for the Haas driver with that gold and black helmet, but he's just not quite close enough on this lap, so he'll have to try and work on this again. Front 2 still locked in their tense mental engagement that they're in at the moment. Whilst there's no overtaking on circuit between the two, they both know how much is at stake here for this race. They'll be aware of that. They know the connotations of a race win around here compared to their rival. You know, we headed into this evening's event with those two pretty much being the prime members of the championship fight. Ben Roberts mathematically still had a chance, but that's no longer the case. And Shortbread was 13 points clear going into this round. He's 12 points clear, or 11 points clear I should say, because Viper got fastest lap point as well. Now is Viper, no, he's not going to defend into turn 1, but you can see how close the Mercedes is getting. Joss is catching the pair of them. He's not close enough to catch them before the end of the race, but don't factor him out if these two really start battling and playing games with one another. They've got to be careful with that. Shari looks as if he might just have the pace advantage around the circuit compared to Mankin. Just getting that gap out to nearly a second, so whether he'll be able to pull it off, I don't know. We'll soon find out. Ben Roberts, though, is climbing his way through the field. He stopped on lap 1, or rather lap 2, and he's now within a second of the Haas car in 5th place. He's done 16 laps on those hard tyres. Can Ben really make it to the end on those hard tyres? I've seen it done before, but it'd be very close to gaining a puncher. So we'll see whether Ben can maintain that position. Psycho is the man on the move, because he's only 4 seconds behind the fight between Mr. Mankin and Ben Roberts at the moment. So Psycho might have a chance of a top 5, maybe even a 4th here. Don't rule him out. So we go on to lap 19, shortbread right with Viper, but Viper will have DRS this time around because there's a back marker of CT Pat in front of him. We won't need to worry about shortbread on this occasion. And Ben Roberts goes past Mr. Mankin for 5th place. Ben Roberts pulling away from the Haas driver, so Ben Roberts carries on for another lap. He's only 6 laps away after this lap, getting those hard tyres to the end, which if he does, it'd be very impressive, especially with the pace he's showing at the moment. These two at the front now, still leading the way, still in a class of their own at the moment. Ben Roberts has now closed the DRS gap to Shari. He's taking Mankin with him, and Psycho is gaining on the lot of them, so there could be a 4-car fight for 4th in the coming laps. We have a very fascinating 6 laps remaining in this race. Who is going to win this one? There are plot lines all over this track. Now shortbread is a lot closer than he has been. He's got DRS. Viper goes defensive straight away but comes back across. He's allowed to do that. He was far enough clear of shortbread not to be classified as weaving. Here comes Ben Roberts for 4th place in the meantime. On the inside of the Ferrari. That's a good move from the McLaren. Now Ben will be hoping that he can just pull away from that group. Whether he's going to be able to go round for another 6 laps remains to be seen, but if he does, that would be one hell of a stint on the harder shod compound tyre. But we will find out shortly whether he can do that or not. So Cheto and Dino have been engaged in a fight for a number of laps as well. Those two are having a good fight, but they're not quite close enough really to overtake one another because of DRS and ERS, of course. Shortbread still in 2nd place, still takes that different line through turn 20 compared to Viper. Now, as I said before, you know, 12 points was the difference coming into this race. If Viper wins, it's down to 5. That's how close it is in the fight for the championship between these two. Neither of them have fastest lap point for this race. That one goes to Billy Misu. But I've got to be honest, the pace that Billy Misu has shown, he did a 131.6 on his soft tyres. The next fastest driver, incredibly, is shortbread on a 131.6, the same 10th of a second on the harder compound tyres. Just shows you how quick that lot are going at the moment. Now there's a yellow flag, it's gone away, so chances of a late safety car are starting to dwindle. They are still together. Psycho is up to 6th in the meantime. He's got past Mr. Mankin. And now he's going to be trying to go after Shari and Ben Roberts in front of him for what could be a good 4th place finish. I have to say, Psycho doesn't have a penalty to worry about, as Sean gets past Billy Misu for 11th place. We have just a few laps remaining, 21 or 25. Of course, I will be interviewing the drivers after the race. Now, if we don't get a safety car on this lap or the next one, and that'll be it. There won't be any safety cars for the remainder of this race. The game does not code safety cars to go to the end of the race. So for Viper and Shortbread, they'll be crossing everything to make sure nothing happens as Dino picks up the time penalty. They're both pushing so hard, Viper and Shortbread. A couple of laps remaining. Shortbread again, closing the gap on the Red Bull. Shortbread is just sticking behind the Red Bull at the moment. They're both, it's kind of like watching two boxers at the moment. They're both waiting for that knockout punch. And Psycho goes past Shari for 5th place. Has he got enough time to catch Ben Roberts? 3.5 seconds. 3 laps to go. That'll be a good fight at the end of this race. Well, as I was saying about Shortbread and Viper, it's like watching two boxers. Waiting for that knockout punch, waiting to get in front of the other one. Deliver the blow that seals the victory. But which one will be able to do that? Viper has led for most of this race. Not all of it, but most of it. Oh, Shortbread lost a little bit of time there. He's out of DRS range. Viper will know it. He'll want to push that ERS button. They both will do. They both know how important that ERS is and DRS advantages around here. And they're both pushing it. Wow. This is going to be it now. Is that little mistake from Shortbread going to cost him? Joss still in 3rd place. Psycho not making the inroads just yet on Ben Roberts, as I thought he would. Ben Roberts' tyres have lasted 20 laps, which is seriously impressive. Fights everywhere else on the field. They're just looking a little bit further away. Shortbread is back into DRS range, and Viper sets a new fastest lap of the race. That was in response to the mistake that Shortbread made. Well, this is it now. Championship is on the line for the two of them, and this could set them up for Imola next week. Into the flick right at turn 4. Both drivers have slightly different lines through there. They are going tooth and nail, the two best drivers this season. Absolutely pushing their utmost to take another race win this season. It's going to take Shortbread just a little bit more effort to pull his way onto the gearbox of the Red Bull in front of him. Both driving some excellent lines through the track. I've got to say, they're clipping apexes perfectly. DRS active once again for Shortbread. He's getting that gap down. Viper just has the confidence through turn 20. I've said that's been a key point of the track in their fight this evening. They just both have different areas of the circuit where they're both more confident. Shortbread certainly in sector 1. It's Billy Misu, I think, has a puncture. Yeah, Billy Misu's got a puncture. He's just come into the pits there, so that's what the yellow flag was for. That's what Ben Roberts has got to worry about in the next lap or two. He's got to stay at his curbs. As Josh sets a new fastest lap of the race, so that takes a point away from Viper. Penultimate lap then. That guy Sean is running in 11th place. He might just give Viper, if he doesn't get out of the way, he might give Viper DRS here. Viper will be hoping for that, but they're both closing the gap on the Mercedes. And the Mercedes is not moving out of the way. Bit of a peculiar one. He slows down though. And he goes through, and his teammate then gets out of the way. So, bit of an odd one from Sean. But he is out of the way. That's the most important thing. But this is it. DRS now. These are going to be so important, these next few corners. If Shortbread wants to win this race, he's got to get right up to the back of Viper. Viper will know that. Shortbread will know that. They both know what they're required to do here. In the flick to turn 20. Nice line from the pair of them. Now we start this long approach towards the final corner at turn 27. Shortbread closing that gap all the while. On the brakes into 3rd gear for the pair of them. They both hook that inside curve nicely. Viper using all of the energy that he can do. Shortbread applying the pressure on the back of that Red Bull. It's the final lap, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. The shootout commences. They have been line astern, never more than 1.5 seconds apart through the whole race. And it will boil down to these last 3.8 miles around Saudi Arabia. Oh, they're both pushing so hard. They're both clipping apexes. They're both pushing the track limits as much as they can. Now's the time to use the ERS if you've got any of it left for the pair of them. Oh, this is so tense between these two drivers, both at the top of their game. Viper trying to hold on for take another race win this season. Shortbread's within DRS range. Viper knows it. Here we go, DRS flap wide open for Shortbread. He's closing that gap down massively to Viper. This is it, 4 corners to go. He closes right up to the Red Bull, but he gets his line wrong. And that might just be the little relief that Viper needs. On the exit of turn 22 they go. Viper goes to the outside line. DRS enabled for Shortbread. He's going to have one last chance to get past this Red Bull. Viper stops it on the apex. Here we go, the exit of the final corner. They come towards the line. Shortbread's going for it. To the outside. It's going to be on the line. Viper by 0.02 of a second. Unbelievable. Shortbread gets it at the line. Joss takes a first podium of the season in 3rd. Great result for him. Ben Roberts take a bow for 4th. How he's made those tyres last to the end, I've no idea, but that is a brilliant performance for the McLaren. Psycho is 5th. Shari is going to take his best ever finish. Actually, Ben Roberts takes 5th because of a penalty, I believe. So Psycho's 4th. Shari is up to 5th. Ben Roberts must have had a few penalties, so Mr. Manka moves up to 6th place. There's Ben Roberts now in 7th. I didn't see that on the timing radar. JB Surreal is going to round the corner for 8th place, but my oh my, what a finish that was. Unbelievable. On the final corner, Shortbread got the exit that he needed. He had the ERS, he had more ERS available to him than what Viper had. Viper's left the session. He's going to be so annoyed at one. Ben Roberts has dropped down to 11th place. I'm not quite certain what's happening there. Psycho gets driver of the day, rightfully so. What a final corner that was. Absolutely, that is going to be talked about in Gavra for a long, long time. And I've got to say, I think that might be the closest finish in Gavra racing history. But Shortbread is the man to have got the win. And that will just give him a leg up in the championship. It's Shortbread who wins the race then by 0.019 of a second. Wow, from Viper. 3rd goes to Joss's first ever podium in Gavra Tier 1. What a result for him. He put in a good display and fastest lap to boot. Psycho was 4th. 5th was Shari. 6th was Mr. Mankin. So good points. Well done to Shari for his best ever finish. Top 5 result. Mr. Mankin was 6th. JB Surreal 7th. Sachetto 8th. Dino 9th. And that guy is Sean 10th. Now, I'm looking at this. Ben Roberts has been classified as a lap down. I don't think that Ben Roberts should be in 11th place. I think he should be in 4th. I think there's been a glitch with the game there. He certainly should be 4th place, so we'll have to have a look into that one for everybody. Pat is classified as 12th, Billy Misu is 13th, and Tara Teddy, of course, not finishing the race. Wow. Take a deep breath, everybody. That was a finish for the ages, and that might have just swung the pendulum in the favour of Shortbread. I said before he was 11 points clear going into this race. He'll be 18 going into the final round at Imola. Whew. Take a deep breath. I'm looking forward to the interviews that we're going to be having shortly, which we will do, of course. But we are going to have a chat with our drivers and we'll see what everybody has to say. So hopefully Gavra will be inviting a few people to come and join us and get some thoughts on the action. I definitely want to listen to what Shortbread and our podium finishers have to say for themselves. Whether Viper will is another matter. He's going to be very annoyed at that. So I suspect we might not hear from Viper. It'd be good if we did, of course, but can understand the frustration of leading for so long in that race, but not quite getting there over the line. That is going to be fascinating to see. I want to listen to what Ben Roberts has to say. I certainly think that Ben's had some form of glitch on the timing page there. He didn't have any penalties from what I saw, so I certainly think that Ben is going to be classified as 4th place. We've got a couple of people joining in, which is good to see. We've got Ben Roberts. We did have Psycho briefly, but he's just jumped out. But we're going to give it a few minutes before we get everybody in. Just want to see what the chat area is saying. Should be great if we could get that to load. Psycho saying he joined by accident. Oh, he's rejoined, I think. But a couple of drivers just coming into the lobby for the interviews. We've got Ben, we've got Shortbread. If anybody else does join, I will interview them as well. But we'll make a start whilst we're here with last way of Mr. Championship leader and 3-time champion could potentially make it 4th next week at Imola. Shortbread 224, what a result. What a final corner that was.
Yeah, I know, talk about close finishes, Jesus. Oh man, that was a crazy race. I want to say just quick, like, amazing to Viper. I know it was so close. He was really, if anything, he was a quicker driver today. It's so quick. But yeah, that final bit, I thought I messed it up on just the final sector. Got a bit of oversteer, falling behind, like 6/10 behind on the final straight, and then got closer right there on the straight. I had no idea. Did not expect that was gonna happen.
Yeah, I was watching all the way through, and I could see throughout the race that Viper was so committed through turn 20, that left-hander. You seemed to struggle with that a bit. But I was saying to the viewers that it didn't really matter because you had DRS, so you could make those small little errors, if you want to call them that, but it just kept you within range. But did you think that you were going to get him on the final lap? I mean, on the approach to that final lap before you made the mistake, do you think this was yours, or were you just thinking, see how it goes?
Yeah, I was hopeful. I thought if I get past Viper, then he may be able to just get me back like I did to him. So I thought maybe if I stay to the last lap, obviously then he won't be able to get me back. So I just thought I'm going to have to leave it to the last lap. It would be difficult. Obviously, he VRS and all that. But yeah, I thought, yeah, just looking back, I just don't know, last corner, last straight, like 2000s in it. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, 0.019 of a second you managed to get that result by for yourself. I'm sure you're chuffed. Now, you're going to have an 18-point lead going into Imola. Is this now a case of you having had the championship trophy and not doing anything stupid next week?
Yeah, that I think I'm just going to damage the rotation, really. I don't want to push ridiculously too much. Just as long as I keep it top 5, something like that, even if Viper wins, I think I should still win. Something like that. So,
yeah,
obviously I'm not going to be not pushing, but I'll try my best, but I'm not going to be doing anything stupid.
No, exactly, and that's the aim of the game, to win this championship. That's why you've got 3 championships. You know exactly what you need to do to secure a 4th within Tier 1, which would be amazing. One last question then. How are you going to celebrate tonight?
Yes, that's a good question. I'm definitely going to watch the stream back after this, because I wonder, that would have been a very interesting ending. But yeah, I need to celebrate after that. That was crazy. Who would have thought that?
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on the victory, Shortbread. A blockbuster end, a Hollywood script-esque, but you've got it.
Yeah, true, yeah, cheers.
Thank you. Now we're going to go over to the man who finished in 4th position. I know that the timing page says otherwise, but Ben, hopefully you can hear me. Feel free to unmute your mic if you haven't done so already. You seem to be the hard tyre whisperer tonight.
Wow, yeah. I mean, horrible qualifying, really. I just couldn't seem to get a lap in. I always have this same issue at Saudi, just trying to get like a clean lap together. And yeah, going into the sprint, had that contact with Yost going into the first corner. And, you know, that that wasn't great at all. But then coming into the race, I felt confident that I'd be able to make up some positions. Got more contact at the start. How that wasn't a safety car at the start, I don't know. It was like me, Psycho. There was an Alpine off. It was just carnage. But yeah, just managed to keep those tyres in the right window. Didn't use them too much, and then just made some positions up at the end on Shari, and I think it was Mr. Mankan. I don't know what his name was, but yeah, made some good positions there and managed to keep Psycho behind.
Yeah, I mean, you got the names of your two people that you overtook there, of Mr. Mankin and Shari, spot on. What actually happened at the first lap? Because I saw you facing the wrong way. Like you said, I saw the Alpine. I saw Psycho facing the wrong way around. What happened in those couple of corners?
Yeah, it was going through that fast left, right, and just got hit from behind. Not quite sure who it was, but actually going into the first corner, I had to back out because it was 3 wide going in. I think I had a Haas and it might have been a Ferrari. No, in fact, sorry, it was JMB Surreal on the right-hand side in the AlphaTauri, and then I saw him spinning round in just after turn 1 as well. And yeah, just had some contact, had an orange front wing, so just had to bring it back to the pits and try and go again. It's one of those races where you just think you might as well give up and, you know, to keep going and grab a P4, when realistically coming into this weekend, I thought I'd maybe get like P5. I didn't really feel confident in the car at all. The setup wasn't feeling great. So to be able to overtake those cars and then keep Psycho behind, who was obviously really, really quick in qualifying, looking like he could have gone on and, you know, challenged for the top 3 really. To keep him behind on fresh mediums was a struggle. You know, I was getting to the end and my tyres were screaming at me like 50%. But yeah, to keep them behind was a really good result today. So I think if Night Sash would have been in the race, you know, we'd have been right there for the constructors really after today. But unfortunately, he couldn't make it today. So yeah, just good points anyway. And yeah, move on to Imola and hope for a good result there. And I might try and help out Shortbread. I want to see a Mercedes do well instead of Red Bull dominance like in real life.
I was actually going to ask you in terms of the tyre wear, what were you on as you crossed the finish line? Because I did not expect the hard tyres to last all the way through the race. I did mention that they can hang on for the whole race, but it's not often you see it.
I think, yeah, so I checked a couple of laps before the end. To be honest, I was just really focusing on that gap the last couple of laps. But the front left, I think, which is the most worn tyre that you get on Saudi, was 47%, like a couple laps from the end. So I think it must have been over 50% when I crossed the line.
Well,
No,
I was just agreeing with you in terms of it would have been over 50%.
Yeah.
You're the only other driver this season who's won a race outside of the 2 championship protagonists. What is your approach for next week? Because it looks as if you've probably got 3rd place secured in the Drivers' Championship. What do you need to do next week to finish off the season well? Is Imola a good track for you?
Yeah, just bring my A game really. I think I do enjoy the track, but I remember racing against both Shortbread and Viper before in Imola, and I remember Viper being extremely quick. I think I just need to iron out my setup. You know, going into the race, I feel like sometimes you have got to almost, you know, go against what you think for qualifying and your time trial setups to try and give yourself that better race car. And I think Imola is just a really fun track. I do really enjoy it. So yeah, I hope can just try and get some good points there and maybe get another win. So it'd be great to have 3 wins in the season. I've had like some mishaps definitely from Canada, and that kind of put me out of the championship fight, and a few races where I think I could have definitely scored some more points. But yeah, I think I got the most out of today. So yeah, just move on to Imola. Try and get a good result there, maybe a podium.
Absolutely. Well done for persevering tonight. It's rewarded you with a 4th place. So well done for getting those tyres to the end.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
No problem. So that is it. Wow, what an absolutely blockbuster finale then that we had here at Saudi Arabia. Shortbread overtaking Viper on the line by less than 0.02 of a second. That overtake will be replayed again and again, no doubt within Gavra Racing. We have one more race remaining for the rest of the season, and the title is certainly still up for grabs between Shortbread and Viper. It's a question of who will take it at Imola for the remaining round of the season. It is going to be so exciting to see those two fight it out on Sunday, 8 o'clock British Standard Time. For those that are watching, I'm sure we're going to have a wonderful finale to this championship here in Tier 1. But from tonight's action, I've been Jack TM53, your commentator for the Weekend League. Wherever you might be in the big wide world, have a good one. See you for the finale.